Now, I have a better understanding of what happened then. Looking back, I can go, okay, I took way too long to get this point, but finally I achieved that level up as far as balance. My next phase was realizing what I had messed up, where I had screwed up.
What was the screw up?
The screw up was, still learning what the screw up is. The screw up was the deflecting.
Deflecting, right.
What was the deflecting, but why was I deflecting? And in the deflecting, I had built up this ego of who I was, and it was fear. Deflecting out of fear. Okay, so I was deflecting out of fear because I played Superman. I jumped this huge to the front of the line. I'd done auditions and I'd been on stuff before, but I really jumped to the front of the line when I did that movie.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't given what I thought I was or had earned. I wasn't getting offers. Except for everything.
Isn't that kind of an effed way of looking at things? Because I know, because we feel like, well, we deserve this.
Yeah, I felt very deserving.
I worked hard. I deserve, and it's like it's hard to. It is ego, and it's hard to imagine. Like, it's just that takes time to change your way of thinking, doesn't it?
A very long time. I was told by my representatives and everyone, they thought it was going to be a big deal, right? That's what happens. You do a big movie and then you do other movies.
Didn't they? I read that they actually, your agent took you on because like you look sort of like resemble Christopher Reeve, so I'm gonna have him in my back pocket because he's destined to play that role. Is that sort of why he became your agent?
Well, originally that was what he said to me. Then, but that that agent dropped me after I got fired from the soap opera I was on back in 2001. Anyway, so they missed out on that.
Yeah, sure did.
But that didn't happen. When the only offers I was getting were horror movies, which I did not.
Which I love. By the way, look around you. Fright Night. We got Dracula over here. Rudy isn't a horror movie, but
Yes, it's a wonderful movie.
So you're getting all these other offers,
so things for projects that weren't in line with what I wanted to do.
Right.
Not a lot, but what offers were coming in were for things that I just had no interest in, and I didn't see them moving my career forward in the path that I wanted. I had to audition for things, and there were things that came very close that I was working with on the studio that just didn't pull out of. They were in production and it didn't happen. A couple other things that just didn't happen. But by and large, I was not a qualified auditioner.
Who is? It's the worst thing in the world. Are you better now?
I feel like I'm better now. I have more confidence in myself and many other things that kind of help make that better.
Right.
But I was not a good auditioner except for things that I was really right for.
Right.
Which is why you get the things you're really right for. Anyway, so I didn't do the work. I didn't read scripts well enough. My foot was halfway out the door every time I was going in. So I was probably creating a bad reputation for myself with casting offices and producers and things. And so, but I was in denial of all this for quite a while. And I had great opportunities, thankfully, that came along, with Zach and Miri and Kevin Smith, and Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
You were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Loves that. I got to see that.
That's really fun.
A lot of my friends have seen it and they love that, so I got to see that. That's a classic.
It's a worthwhile movie.
All right, I'm going to check it out.
And then with Chuck. And so I had things, thankfully kept me afloat and learning along the way. But it wasn't until I really understood that I needed to start again, that I needed to relearn things and relearn how to, not relearn, but I had to go back and actually learn how to audition for myself and re-engage myself and really become part of the process and fully. Looking back, I can call it surrender. I can say that I had to surrender to the process and surrender to the fact that I had to audition.
And became disciplined, it sounds like.
Yes, I started to work hard. And so that started, the first thing that happened is after I took on that mentality was I got the pilot for the sitcom that I did called Partners in 2012. And that was a wonderful experience and would love to be still doing it to this day, but
Sure.
we did 13 episodes and that was the end of that. Then shortly after that was an opportunity for Arrow. And I brought in, I had a meeting with the producers, but then I had to go back and I read with wonderful Emily Rickards and did a chemistry test with her. And so I had to prove myself.
That's the thing. You have to prove yourself. And I'm like listening to you. It's funny. Because sometimes I think I'm going to have nothing in common with people. And then you start talking I think we all have things that are in common. Like there is an ego. Ego is such a big part of everyone's life that they probably ruin a lot of opportunities. And I remember I had opportunities, but it was ego, it was lack of discipline. I don't want to go learn this. I was, it was sort of embarrassing. If I look back, I'm like, you fucking pompous little shit. For you to go, you have an audition with, Tom Hanks or something. I mean, I worked on that one, but, Goodwill Hunting and Saving Private Ryan. And I remember this like the night before partying. I was a kid. I was like 26. And I was like, I'm going to go. I didn't give a shit. Like, because I wasn't mature. And by the way, maturity isn't something that is in my vocabulary, but I'm very responsible. And, it takes time. You say it takes time to sort of like look back and go, hey, this is where I was fucking up. This is why. And you said you relearn things.